In this video, I'm going to show you how to split your bulk fermentation over 2 days using the fridge and how I get it back up to temperature. It's a great technique for when it gets late at night or something unexpected comes up and you need to pause the process. I actually started this video with no intention of splitting the bulk fermentation, but I got tired, so I decided to put the dough in the fridge. The recipe I'm using is my wholemeal sourdough, which is 50% whole wheat flour and 50% white flour. It's a great mix that gives you the flavor of the wholemeal with the bit of the lightness from the white flour. So this is the flour that I'm going to be using, and I got this off Amazon. I usually get this in a bigger bag, but I've just ordered that one for now. And I don't do much of the wholemeal these days, but I do have an order from someone that I sell to that wanted wholemeal, so I've bought this one off Amazon too, and it's a 5 kilo bag. So this organic flour is Stoneground, so it will be a bit more coarser and the bran will cut into the mix a bit more, but I'll show you how we get around that. And the organic premium white flour is the one I always use. This is my favorite flour. I'm going to need 800 grams of starter, 100 grams per loaf. I've got my starter here that I've been feeding. I've had it in the fridge all week and I fed it 2 times before I used it now. I have a video about this on my channel too. My battery's running low. I have my smaller scale now, which is fine for the starter. So 340 water, I'll mix this in, and 340 flour, and I'll mix this in together. I'll put a mark on it. It's a big tub, but I usually use the whole tub, so it's just a little mix. It's a bit messy actually, but yeah. So this is my prover that I make. It's got a heating mat inside, and I have it set to 25. It will go back up because the room temperature is really cold today. It's 15 degrees. This should go back up to 25 in no time. And this heating mat here, let's get the flour off it, that will heat up the whole area. I'm going to weigh up the ingredients too and put them in here as well. And now I have my scale on charge. It's funny, I haven't charged this scale in months, so it took me ages to find the cable. I don't think that's even the proper cable. But yeah, this scale, using it a few times a week, I haven't charged it in 6 months. So I'm going to weigh up these ingredients. I've got my water already, which is 3.2 kilos. I've put warm water in here, and this will heat up the prover. So I've got 3.2 kilos of water, and I need 2 kilos of the white and 2 kilos of the whole wheat. So let me weigh that up. I weigh it up now so I can put it in the prover too. This scale barely fits this tub. Hopefully it weighs accurate. Yeah, I wasn't going to risk that, so let me get my other scale. I'll put it back on charge in a minute. So this scale's still charging. Let me just see. 500 grams. This is a bit off actually. So 200, 200. Yeah, so these are, I always test my scales with weights. I got a 500 and 200. I've had this for like 30 years. So yeah, now it's accurate. I'm going to put 200 grams of the white and the wholemeal in here. And I'll also put that in the prover. So all the ingredients are the same temperature at 25 degrees. So I like 25 degrees because it's my favorite temperature for making sourdough. And I know exactly how long it's going to take, how much I have to prove, how it feels. If you do the same, if you make sourdough the same way every single time, you should get consistent results. So find a way that you like to make sourdough and continuously try and aim to make it that way every single time. And you'll be able to improve on how you make it, like increase the bulk ferment, decrease the bulk ferment, shape tighter, shape looser, mixing. You can fine tune that recipe and that temperature to suit you. That's 2 kilos. And the whole wheat. So we've got a total of 4 kilos of flour here. So I'll order at least wholemeal flour or whole wheat flour, the same thing, for like an hour. But I'll show you that when I get to it. Now I'll put all these ingredients. Got Bannetons falling over. Okay, so I put the flour at the back. Got my water, which is warm, which is going to heat up the prover too. And the starter I've got at the front. So the flour's at the back, the water is here, and the starter is there. So this starter should take about 8 hours to get to where I want it to be. Prover's at 23. Hopefully the water will warm up in there, and the room temperature, yeah, still freezing. I always like to keep my organic flour in the fridge. It just increases the shelf life. And my starter I have up here. It's just the scrapings, and I'll feed that in a few days when I use it again. I don't feed my starter every day, but I have a video about that too. So my starter's growing pretty good, but it's still got a curve. It's still got about an hour or so to go. So while that's still growing and we're almost ready, we're going to leave the wholemeal flour. Well, we're going to leave all the flour in the mixer for about an hour and a half. This is why I suggest doing, if you're doing a wholemeal mix, do it at the start or at the end of your day. So let me get the water. This is 80% water. I can go higher than that, about 82, 83, but for this video, we're going to keep it at 82 and add if we need to. I'm going to get the flour. I'll put the starter back in there. Don't bang it too much. Put that there. So I'm going to put all the water in the mixer, except for a little bit. We're going to leave that for the salt and the starter. Unlike my other videos where I put the starter in here too, because we're going to let this wholemeal really rest, we're going to leave the salt and the starter out. So I'm going to leave this just a little bit for that. This is the flour, which was the wholemeal and the white. I'm going to stick in half the flour just for now. That way when it mixes in, it won't have any bits on the bottom. They don't mix in. So we're just on slow speed. And then put in the rest. It's only 8 loaves, so it's only going to feel like half the mixer. And we'll mix this until there's no more dry spots. So we'll let that mix about 2 or 3 minutes. Scrape down the sides. You don't want any dry parts. So, and here's another minute and that will be ready to go. Might tip a little bit more of the water down the side. And it's about that much left. That's just for the salt and the starter. Okay, so that's been 3 minutes. No dry spots. We're going to leave this until that starter has no more curve on top. And it's getting a lot of height, which is awesome. I mean, it's very active, the starter. So when that's ready, hopefully in an hour, we will put in the starter in here with the salt. So now I just put the scraper in here. I'm going to cover the mixer with a towel. The Autolyse has been an hour and a half. And it's looking really good. And the starter is almost tripled in size. I'm going to add this to the mix. It's holding its height. Hasn't really grown and it's holding its height. So it's peaked. It just hasn't flattened out. So we're going to add this into the mix. The dough temperature is sitting at 21.6. So it's dropped a lot of temperature sitting in this bowl, auto-leasing. But hopefully we can warm that up with mixing. And once it's back in the prover, it should heat back up. So we're going to add the 800 grams of starter in here. Which is nice and warm. So that should warm up the dough too. This is weighed up pretty accurate. It doesn't smell acidic, it smells nice. This is weighed almost perfect. Mix this in a bit on slow. I'll also now get the salt. I'll add it in 2 parts. A bit more there. The rest of the water. And I'll mix this on slow speed for 2 minutes. And that's the rest of the water. Keep mixing this on slow for 2 minutes. And then after 2 minutes, I'm going to put it up to a medium speed, which is speed 4 for me. And mix that for another 2 minutes. You don't want to over mix. You never want to over mix with a spiral mixer. It can make the dough get too tough. This is actually pouring from the sides, pretty good. You know what? A minute. That was all I needed to do. It was already pouring from the sides. I don't want to over mix. That long Autolyse of like an hour and a half did a lot of the hard work for us. So I'm going to pull this out and put it into a tub. And I'll just wet my hands. And I'm going to put this into one of my smaller tubs because there's only 8 loaves. So don't want to tear the dough too much. So you don't want to grab it. Just kind of like hook it on your hand a bit. Now I'll just wet my hands again. And I'll just smooth this out in the tub. This dough could took a little bit more water, but it should be fine how it is. I'm going to put the lid on top. We'll leave that half an hour and we'll come back and we'll do a stretch and fold. And I will take a dough sample with my Eloquent jar. It measures the fermentation, and I've got a sticker there. But I already know that 50% is going to be about there. But I'll do the jar as well. Just want to get that as close to 0 as possible. And I'm going to put both of these in the prover for half an hour and then do a stretch and fold on them. It's very, very cold, so it's almost 16 degrees, so I might put a heater in the room too. So it's been about 45 minutes. I've actually put a heater on in the room too, just to get the room temperature up. In winter, you have to do what you can do just to get that temperature up. And I'm not going to stretch this too far. So, corner, like so, and just like that. Tuck it under. I'm going to give this another 45 minutes and do another fold. Put this back in here. This heater is really helping put the room temperature up, and it's helping the prover. So it's been another 45 minutes. You won't get much movement just yet. And I'm going to just have a look at this. We've got strength. So we're not going to do any stretch and folds. What I'm going to do is some coil folds, and that will just rotate the heat throughout. So what I will do is pick it up and throw it underneath itself. Throw it underneath itself. Throw it underneath itself. And this will stop any air from getting knocked out too. So underneath, and just twist it around, like so. I wanted to be at 25, but we're at 24. But it is cold, so we're close to 25, so that'll be fine. In 45 minutes, we'll do another coil fold. We've got signs of activity. We've got a curve. This is why I'm not doing any stretch and folds, because the gluten looks strong enough. So I'm just doing gentle coil folds just to move the heat around. So I'm going to pick this up, throw it under, throw it under, throw it under, throw it under, and throw it under. Like so. But I'm going to do something a bit different because it's getting late. I'm getting tired, and it's like 10 o'clock at night. I thought I could stay awake a bit longer. It's my day off and I'm like half asleep. I'm going to show you how you can put it in the fridge and continue it the next day. So I'm just going to give it another quick little coil fold. Throw it under itself. Throw it under itself. This will slow it down a lot, put it in the fridge, but you can do it. So, and what I have done is I've set, this fridge has got nothing in it today. So I've set this fridge to 5 degrees. So a bit warmer than I usually have it. On the shelf in the middle. And tomorrow I'll pull it out the fridge, let it get back to room temperature, and let it continue the bulk fermentation. So it's next day, about 9 AM. So this has been in the fridge now for like, what time did I put it in there? About 10 o'clock last night. So it's been in there for 11 hours. I've got the heater going, and I've turned the prover back on. It did grow some in the fridge, so that was good. But we need this to get to room temperature. So I'm going to leave this out for about half an hour. And we're going to do a coil fold, and then maybe another coil fold. And then we will pre-shape it, and we'll get it ready for the Bannetons. This might take a few hours to be ready, but yeah, it has grown good. Putting the fridge up a little bit really helped because it didn't completely slow down the fermentation. And now it's in here. And in half an hour, I'll give that a very gentle coil fold. We don't want to knock any air out of this, but we do need to rotate the heat a little bit. It's been half an hour since I put it out the fridge and put it in here. And I'm going to do a gentle coil fold just to move the heat around. I'm also going to move it from this small tub to my bigger tub, and it's, let me check the temperature, 7 degrees. We need this to warm up a lot. So I'm going to wet my hands and very gently, I'm just going to tuck it underneath itself. This is very cold. So, I'm going to pick this up and put it in a new tub. So this is how it's looking. Half an hour, I'll do another coil fold, and then I'll leave it for a little bit, maybe an hour or so, before we pre-shape. And then half an hour later, do the same thing again. Still very cold. So I'm going to leave this now for about an hour. The dough temperature is still 12.1. It's still taking a while to creep up. Prover's at 19 and it's struggling to keep temperature too because that tub is cold and it's going to cool down the prover. But you'll know once that starts to hit 25 that this dough in here is also warming up, and that will eventually hit 25. And then we're about to pre-shape. So another hour later, and it's gradually creeping back up. Got to keep an eye on it. It's wobbly, it's getting air. It's not sinking, it's not overproofed. I want to keep warming that up, but I will pre-shape this soon. You really need to know your dough when you do bulk fermentation, when you split it and put it in the fridge and then continue the next day, because time's not on your side anymore. You don't know. Like you can't have like the 4 to 5 hour, where you know it's a 25C is 4 to 5 hours on the bulk ferment. When you do it this way, it's hot, cold, it could take hours. So you really need to know your dough. So it's not overproofed. I can feel by touching it, it's bouncing back up. I'm going to leave that for a little bit longer. I really want that dough temperature to get back up. It's not as cold today, but it's still 20 degrees. So I really don't want to be putting it on the bench and trying to get it back to room temperature on the bench. The best place for it to be is in this prover right now. So like I said, I'll come back when it's a bit warmer. Now we're really, like I said before, really got to pay attention here, because you can underprove it and overprove it very easily. So we really need to pay attention to this dough. It's on 23. It's about as close as we're going to get. Dough's looking really nice. It's jiggly. So I'm going to cut this into eight pieces at 1 kilo each. I don't have anyone here to help me record today, so it's going to be, this is the best angle I can get on that camera at the moment. I'm going to release it from the sides Now we want to be gentle. So I'm going to cut this in the middle. Cut it in the middle. Cut another one down here. So it may look a bit overproof, but it'll be fine. So you don't want to knock the air out. You want to be very gentle. You don't want to. This is going to be a very sensitive dough now. I'm not even going to tighten it very much. I'm leaving it as loose as I can. So this is probably a bit too big, that one. So might go in too tight, just enough. See, they're still holding their shape, they're not overproofed. And we're going to leave these for only about 10 minutes because I want them in the Banneton as fast as possible. Now, if you see any big bubbles on the top, just pop them. Only the big ones. The little ones don't matter. Like that big one there. And this one here. Okay, I'm going to leave that for 10 minutes. I've got 8 of the Bannetons. Some with liners, some without. I like how this gives a pattern, and this one will be smooth after you bake. And that's rice flour. And I've just covered these. I've covered these with some flour. And now after 10 minutes, we're going to gently, don't forget this dough, it's a bit more fragile than usual. A bit more stickier. I might have pushed this a bit too far, but it's alright. And they're 1 kilo, so they're pretty heavy. It's holding its shape, so it's not any bubbles, pop them. And I am not going to tighten this hard at all. Any bubbles on top. This is half whole wheat, so it's going to be a bit denser anyway. Now you've got a few options now. You could either leave these in the Banneton and bake them in about 30 minutes to an hour, or you can place them back in the fridge for a few hours just so they're easier to score, which is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to put them in the fridge for about 2 hours while the oven heats up. Any bubbles on top pop. going to place them in the fridge for 2 hours until the oven heats up. My oven, the RM 2020, takes about 2.5 hours to heat up. So we're going to bake these tonight still. Across the middle. Any big bubbles, pop them. This is very, very a lot of bubbles, which is to be expected because this has been a long fermentation. This one's got a bit of a dip, so I'm going to make sure there's no air there. You probably notice I stitch this way. Some people they stitch that way. It's just the way I do it. We're going to go over and pop any bubbles. This is how they look. Still holding their shape, which is good. It's a lot harder without my camera lady here. I'm going to stick them in the fridge. Now this is not how I like to make sourdough, but because of the break last night, it's just how we're going to be doing it. So let's put them in there. This will make it easier to score. You can leave these in here overnight again if you wanted to, but they get more sour and they might break down the gluten a lot more. Personally, I'll try and bake it the same day. And now I'm going to turn the oven on to 250, let that heat up for 2.5 hours. Then we're going to bake. It's been about 5 hours. I wanted to wait until my partner come home to record because it's a lot easier. So we're going to bake these off now. There's only 8. What's the only thing about doing it this way? Because I've changed my variables, you are playing a lot around with the dough. So it is very airy. I'm not going to do any fancy scoring today. I'm just going to score and put it straight in the oven. So, okay. Okay. Got the temperature of 240. But I'm going to drop this down to 210. Just allows the bread to jump a bit without that heat just smacking it on the top. And it has a lot of steam. And we're going to bake that for 25 minutes. Okay, so 10 minutes to go before I release the steam. And they're looking really, really good. So go and release the steam. And, oh, this is looking good. We are going to bake this now on 240 for 15 more minutes until they get some color. And we're going to open the damper. Let's check the color. Yeah, looking good. Let's pour this out. Well, they're looking really good. I should have said actually, for these ones, because they were 1 kilo, I used a thicker Banneton. So it's wider, but not as long as my usual one. That's why they're a bit on the smaller. My other ones are usually longer. When I do 1 kilo dough, I like to put them in these, like these Bannetons that are a bit on the thicker side. All right, we'll let this cool down. So they turned out pretty good. One of them I scored bad on the end. This is what always happens when you don't score too far on the end. It's too tight, but the other end nice and loose. These ones look exceptionally good. They're a bit darker because they're wholemeal. This one got a bit of a bum score too, but overall they're very nice. Especially how we split the bulk ferment up into 2 days. So I'm going to let these cool down, and then I will cut into one of them. So I'll cut one in half. 6 of them are being sold, so I can cut this one. It turned out really nice. This is whole wheat, so it will be a bit darker and a bit denser, but no, that's beautiful. I love that. It's so good. And I hope that this taught you how to split the bulk ferment from one day to the next and get the temperature back up. Actually, I'll do another crumb shot test because the lighting here is not so good. My partner's packing the breads. But yeah, this is how it looks. See, that's much better. So it's 50% whole wheat, so the crumb will be a bit tighter. But that's very good, especially for bread that got the bulk fermentation got split. Yeah, this one's mine. I'm going to be eating this one myself. It's nice and soft from the 80% water. I made it 80% because I wanted to make it a bit easier for you guys. But if I was to do this again, which I will probably in a few weeks, I'll go up to 83% hydration. And I'll try my best to do the bulk fermentation on the same day. But yeah, that's it. Well, thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.